They were hunting humans. He had a suit on. He suited up like this for hunting fat people. It was actually called fat people hunting. They were hunting fat humans. Fat human people. Why? Because they were hungry. Starving, in fact. There were hardly any fat humans left. They had all been eaten up already. Delicious, glorious mutton, lamb, roast beef, little piglets and the pork piglet's feet, hot dogs on a stick. He had his hunting fat people suit on. He was really strong and lanky. It had its hooks in it that he used to fish hook the fat people. When he got close enough, they thought he was just a normal dude. But they were wrong. Once the world had ended, the post-apocalyptic era, hunting humans was one of the few ways to stay fed. Hunting fat people, really. It's called fat people hunting. He had his fat people suit on. Fat people were pretty big and strong for being so overweight. So he had to weigh down. He put a bunch of stuff in his bag. His huge backpack, really. It made him look like a troll almost. He was trolling hunting humans. He had his fish hooks with the ropes attached to him that he used to grappling onto the humans, fat humans, and then bring them in close for a bear hug. Maybe a quick poke with a sticker. He would drag them off into the bushes and cut them up. Well, he was really particular, so after he gutted them and skinned them, he would get down to the real nasty stuff, bring them back and smoke them like hogs. He'd make some good ham out of that for Thanksgiving. The world had ended and there really was nothing left to eat. And the humans, they had the good ice cream and the good cake too. They had all kinds of good stuffs in them. Pork pot pie. There was no telling what was in the human's mind that could keep you fed for ages. You know, they even had the good carrot cake and beer as well. Hogshead. Who's to say what happened to these humans? There were not a lot of fat people left. Fat people hunting is what it was called. Every troll did it. It was almost a legacy left over from back when there were more humans before they interbred with the trolls, and what was left was some sort of intermixed tribal special thing. It was almost illegal to still fat people hunt. It's almost unheard of in these days. But Treble Hogshead, leader of the clan, it was his job to keep traditions alive. And hunting fat people in this fat people suit was one of the few jobs that they could find out in the middle of nowhere, where there weren't a lot of fat people left to hunt. Everybody had turned troll already, or just got too skinny. Times were hard. They were getting harder. He was getting leaner, meaner. Fighting machine, really. For him, he was a pretty good weight for his species of troll. Hunting humans might have been all that was left. Farming was out of the question. Before the evil corporation got involved and decided to expand on using technology to rid itself of the troll problem in Hogshead Swamp, which is why most of his clan moved into the woods up in the mountains. It was colder there than normal places. And hunting fat people was almost unheard of. They had to blend in, disappear completely, live underground like the dwarves, or rely on their elven kin for safety. And yet, growing medicinal herbs and vegetables was not a lot that they could really afford to do in the forest. They had to rely on growing illegal weeds like specialty marijuana and mushrooms. Things you weren't even allowed to talk about. Sometimes even humans got hold of them. And that's when the real fun broke out. Or as some would say, hell broke loose in the human world. They were trying to put a stop to these enterprises when a whole lot of different kind of fairy folk ended up turning up all of a sudden in the human world, making it seem like maybe some of the fantasy stories of ages old might have come from a true place. At least it's hard to tell if the books were based off of reality and you were just not looking at it right all along. I mean, there really were tales of cannibals and such. Maybe they weren't allowed to admit that they weren't exactly human all along. It's hard to say these days what age even means anymore. Midlife control? Is that a midlife crisis for a human? I don't even know. But if there's one thing you can count on, it's fat people hunting. An ages-old tradition. You could always count on it to put a smile on your face, some money in your pocket, and some weight on your bones.